Hey there, YouTube audience. We should be live, and it looks like indeed we are live. So, welcome to the stream, folks. It's a pretty calm space weather day. Earth remains in a South Pole oriented magnetic sector as South Pole oriented coronal holes persist. Besides that, there's been a massive prominence. There was a long duration M class flare, which will not yield any Earth directed coronal mass ejections. So, we can expect some high speed wind coming in a day or two. But beyond that, not a lot going on for space weather. As far as Earth weather goes, it's cold. It's where I'm located, Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. It is a legit ice rink. So, we got a little bit of snow and a little bit of wintry mix. And now it's 25 degrees out there. So nothing has really had a chance to melt. And there's black ice everywhere you go. So it is not what you'd call optimal bike riding weather. Two wheels aren't so stable on ice unless you've got spikes, studded tires, and stuff like that. And that is not something that I'm planning on doing anytime soon. Really heavy, super expensive tires or homemade tires. You can make your own studded tires if you want to. You can use like sheet metal screws or something like that. But I ain't doing that. No thanks. I'll just leave my bikes in reserve and not crash them. So, we'll show you some stats about space weather here, but it's, again, like I said, pretty calm there. Not a lot going on here at the Smash News Network. Be supposed to name the news as far as space weather goes, because again, the sun is ramping down. All right, though we are barely a year beyond solar maximum on the ramp down, it's not a lot of activity. So we'll go over things like sunspot number, like we do. And let's show some stats here. And we're going to show this prominence because it's a very good one. It released sometime last night. And there's that prominence we're talking about. It is quite picturesque. So at about 2000 last night, this thing destabilized. And that's a truly massive prominence. If you want to make incredible videos of that, head to helioviewer.org. This is quite a good one. One of the more interesting prominences that we've seen throughout the entire solar cycle, actually. So it's pretty noteworthy. So that's something going on. But besides that, like I said, it's quite calm. No new CMEs on the way to Earth at this point. I'm sure University of Reading will agree. We looked at the coronagraphs earlier this morning, and it is chill. Sunspot number continues to decline here just a little bit, down to about 103 sunspots, something like that. 104 sunspots, I'll say. And here's Solon.info. Radio flux represented by this black line, now at 148. 148 solar flux units. We're not even going to show the coronagraphs because there's nothing on them. And as far as NOAA's forecast for space weather, weak enhancements to the solar wind environment persist. NOAA not expecting any major stuff. A little bit of geomagnetic unrest coming late tonight into tomorrow. So yeah, it's quite chill for space weather. Current conditions for solar wind are about 5 protons per cubic centimeter, and about 420 kilometers per second. for the solar wind velocity. No energetic particle events. We could have seen one with that long duration M-class flare, but we didn't. So here's that flare we're talking about. Only one M-class enhancement over the past 24 hours. Again, it was quite long duration. It was on the southwestern limb. So right down here, I'll advance this to that M-class event for you. And there it is. You can see occurring right on the limb there. And look, that's a pretty common thing, seeing flares on the limb. So there's a great example of that. Again, no solar energetic particles generated from this, just a long duration M-class flare. So there it is. I'll bring that back to play it through. And there you have it. So, like I said about the magnetic sector, Earth is in a South Pole sector. You'll see that shown here in red. Kind of right in the middle of it there. We got quite a long ways, as much as maybe a week. Stereo A is about to see that North Pole magnetic sector. That's stereo B represented where my arrow is located. And then over here at this, now my pointer is located at stereo A to give you an idea of the angle of those spacecraft. Next, our line of sight coronal hole plot. So those South Pole oriented coronal holes provide a high speed wind here. Yeah, later in the day today, I would agree with Noah on that. We may see a sputtering solar wind from this because we have sort of a patchwork there, a patchwork of coronal holes. So, you know, there you can see all those South Pole oriented coronal holes. And yeah, they can't be used to forecast earthquakes. They just can't. Like, we saw really, really strong magnetism throughout this magnetic sector. And there, you know what I mean? Like, you can't forecast earthquakes with it. Like, we've covered it on the channel so much, it's just ridiculous that people are still saying that, oh, coronal holes, that means an earthquake's going to happen somewhere. What do? Just alert the whole planet to every fault line? That's not a thing. That's not a forecast. You got to have a time and a place for a forecast. All right, let me show the magnetism here. We're going to catch a final glimpse of those setting sunspots, I think. Cerro Tololo is only 24 minutes behind, about 25 minutes behind. And let's just look at, all right, we'll look at yesterday plus today. So those sunspots largely stayed stable there as they set, it looks like. No big changes happening there. Let's just bring up today just to give it the most recent data we can show. So still a chance for large flares there at the limb, but not that big of a chance. We'll stick with Cerro Tololo here and show the red light view. And there's our full disk image from National Sunspot Observatory. In red light, 677 nanometers. That's what about 100 sunspots looks like. And these are not super active sunspots. Last but not least, filaments. We'll just look at today because there haven't been any major CMEs. That stands for coronal mass ejections, folks. And please don't conflate coronal mass ejections with solar flares. They are separate phenomena. Uh, you know, solar flares are photons in the form of X-ray frequency photons, and coronal mass ejections are gas. They're protons, completely different. So imagine what a fan does, pushing air, matter as opposed to electromagnetic radiation, and what a flashlight does. This is more like a solar flare than 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 blowing wind, right? Because the solar wind is not the same thing as the X-ray output. So don't conflate photons and protons, folks. Solar flares are photons. Coronal mass ejections are protons. Very different. All right, so here is our hydrogen alpha imagery and lots of filaments on the Earth side of the disk. Fingers crossed that some of those will be headed our way soon. If you'd like to name some, follow us over on Twitter. You can find all of our social media links in the description below this video, as well as links to our Redbubble shop and all kinds of other stuff, like the Amazon store. So check out all that stuff. Click the link, support the channel. These videos are super expensive to make, so please follow us on social media, press the share button, etc. Thanks to everybody who has. Electron flux here coming down, it looks like. So you get a little better GPS performance, although that looks like incoming space weather, so I suspect your GPS will still work like crap. That's my guess. Let's take a look at the ionosphere. We're going to show the anomalygram and the raw data. So there's the ionosphere as measured by the Australian Bureau of Meteorology. Thank goodness for all those cigarette tax dollars keeping sites like this functioning. Right, Kimberly? Shout out to Kimberly Nichols. Perhaps check out some of Kimberly's art on Redbubble. Kimberly Nichols on Redbubble. It's pretty good. I think I've even named some of the pieces on there. All right, so anyway, that's what's going on at the F layer of the ionosphere. So just so you know, the F layer this is the layer up here, the F layer. And of course, that is at a different altitude at daytime and nighttime. Anyway, here's the anomalygram. I would note once again that the South Atlantic anomaly is way up here on the equator, just west of South America. And the South African anomaly is kind of right on the equator here, right near the coast of Africa. There may be another anomaly down here too. Check this out. So maybe another South Pacific anomaly, but it does look like it's associated with the real South Atlantic anomaly, which again has moved thousands of miles to the equatorial Pacific off the coast of South America, where my pointer is located. There it is. It's super obvious on the map. And if you think that portends doomsday, I feel badly for you. That is not extraordinary evidence for your extraordinary doomsday claim. Damn, that expired fast. Okay. And let's show the sunrise over the Atlantic on our full disk red visible satellite. It's pretty good. Check this out. And of course, we implore our viewers to be able to forecast your own weather. There you go. There is your black and white blue globe. Your blue globe in grayscale. As we approach the solstice, it is the darkest few weeks of the year in the Northern Hemisphere. And here's the water vapor map for the U.S. Dry conditions in the south. Atmospheric river continues in the north. That is just going on and on for days and days. Dag. A little bit of lake effect snow continues as winds are once again accelerated across the Great Lakes. And some snow makes its way across South Dakota, Montana, etc. Also Minnesota, getting some of the white stuff, and of course, Ohio. Some snow showers there making their way across central Pennsylvania. And what do you know? Buffalo, New York probably already has like a foot of snow that will never melt until spring. Buffalo, it's a crazy place. You want to see real cold conditions? Head to Buffalo, Rochester, Cleveland. Erie, Pennsylvania must be eerily locked inside. It must be very, very cold. Here's our great satellite view from our windy.com app. This is, of course, the web-based app, and it is good. It is quite good. Let's show temperature briefly and close this thing out with some more views of the closest star. There is your temperature map. It's about 25 degrees in eastern PA right now, and that is on the cool side. And that is my favorite star at which to gaze. Anyway, it's time to close this thing out. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Congratulations on realizing that the Smash News Network least busted name in news exists. With the state of, quote, social and, quote, media these days, we're frankly surprised. I would please note the time and date stamps down there, since the Goes 19 now shows like 12 hours, I think, instead of only 2.5 hours, which I've got mixed feelings on that. But let us know in the comment what your opinion is on the longer duration for the Goes 19 SUVI imagery there. That is on the Space Weather Prediction Center. If you're wondering, NOAA's website, that's NOAA.gov's Space Weather Prediction Center. Anyway, until next time, I've been your host, Dan, a.k.a. Smash-O-Mash, signing off from the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. Until tomorrow, may that solar wind be at your back.